If your garden is dying, your water bill is exploding, and the sun feels like it's personally trying to erase your existence, then lean in for a second. Because what I'm about to tell you might change the way you grow food forever. I know exactly how it feels to pour time, money, and hope into plants that reward you with crispy leaves and disappointment. And if you've been blaming yourself, stop right now. The truth is simple. You've been planting the wrong soldiers for the battlefield you live in. So today, I want to walk you through 8 fruits, 8 evolutionary masterpieces that don't just survive in brutal heat and drought, they thrive in it. And as we go through them, I want you to imagine your own yard, your own climate, your own struggles, and ask yourself, why am I still fighting nature instead of working with it? Because by the end of this, you'll know exactly which fruit you should plant first. Let's dive in together. Jujube, the fruit that laughs at drought. Picture this, a fruit tree that doesn't beg for water, doesn't collapse under disease, and doesn't punish you for forgetting it exists. That's Jujube. And if you've never heard of it, that's not your fault. It's the fault of nurseries pushing the same thirsty, fragile trees year after year. Jujube, also called the Chinese date, thrives in zones 7 to 10, especially in those hot inland regions where summer feels like a personal attack. And here's the part that still blows people's minds. Once established, Jujube prefers drought. Yes, prefers. Overwater it, and the fruit gets bland. Ignore it, and it rewards you with crisp, apple-like fruits when firm, or chewy, date-like treats when wrinkled. As you hear this, ask yourself, why am I still babying apples that demand constant spraying, pruning, and prayers? If you want a fruit tree that will outlive your stress and maybe even your patience, start with Jujube. Plant it once, harvest for decades, and enjoy the freedom of a tree that doesn't need you hovering over it. Prickly pear, the cactus that feeds you twice. Now imagine a plant that grows where everything else dies. A plant that gives you 2 different foods from the same body. A plant that doesn't care if the soil is sand, gravel, or the surface of Mars. That's prickly pear, hardy in zones 9 to 12. With some varieties surviving even colder climates, this cactus produces edible pads, nopales, and sweet juicy fruits called tunas. And if you're picturing a nightmare of spines, relax. There are spineless varieties like Elysiana that make harvesting easy. As I'm telling you this, think about your raspberries or blackberries. How much water they demand, how quickly they fry in the heat, how aggressively they spread. Now compare that to a cactus that asks for nothing after its first year. If you want a zero-maintenance food source that keeps producing even when the world feels like a furnace, prickly pear deserves a spot in your yard. Plant it and forget it. Literally. Canistel, the egg fruit that tastes like pumpkin pie. Let's shift gears into the tropical world for a moment. If you live in zones 10 or 11 and you want a fruit that makes people question reality, Canistel is your new obsession. This evergreen tree produces golden fruits with a dense, creamy texture, like sweet potato blended with pumpkin pie filling. It's not juicy, it's not refreshing, it's dessert. And here's the twist. Unlike mango, which throws tantrums if you miss a watering or if humidity isn't perfect, Canistel is surprisingly low maintenance. It handles dry spells, grows steadily, and holds ripe fruit on the tree for weeks. As you picture this, ask yourself, wouldn't it be nice to have a fruit that turns smoothies into milkshakes without adding sugar? If you want a dessert ingredient that grows on a tree and doesn't demand constant attention, Canistel is calling your name. Black sapote, the chocolate pudding fruit. Now let me introduce you to the fruit that sounds like a scam, but isn't. Black sapote. Hardy in zones 10 to 11, this tree produces fruits that look like green tomatoes until they ripen into soft, dark, pudding-like spheres. And yes, the inside looks exactly like chocolate pudding. The flavor is mild, sweet, and perfect for smoothies or desserts. It's not as drought-proof as jujube or prickly pear, but for a tropical fruit, it's impressively tough. And here's where I want you to pause and imagine serving a fruit that looks like chocolate pudding straight from the tree, watching people's faces as they try it. If you want a fruit that shocks people, in the best way, black sapote is the one to plant. K-apple, the fruit tree that doubles as barbed wire. Now let's talk about security, not digital security. Physical, thorn-covered, nothing is getting through here security. K-apple, native to South Africa and hardy to Zone 9, is basically edible barbed wire. Its thorns are 2 to 3 inches long and will stop deer, coyotes, and even the neighbor's dog from crossing your property line. But here's the twist. The fruit is delicious, golden, tart, citrus apricot flavor, perfect for jams and syrups. And the plant thrives on neglect. As you imagine this, ask yourself, why plant a hedge that does nothing when you could plant one that feeds you? If you need a living fence that produces food and protects your space, K-apple is the answer. Barbados gooseberry, the climbing cactus with tart fruit. Ready for something weird? Barbados gooseberry is a cactus that climbs like a vine. Yes, a climbing cactus. It grows fast, covers fences, and produces small, tart fruits, perfect for jams. Hardy in zones 9B to 11B, it's drought-tolerant, pest-resistant, and almost impossible to kill. Now compare that to strawberries or blueberries, both needy, picky, and thirsty. As you picture this cactus climbing across your fence, ask yourself, wouldn't it be nice to have a berry-like fruit without the constant watering? If you want a unique edible vine that thrives in heat, Barbados gooseberry is worth planting. Jaboticaba, the Dr. Seuss tree that grows fruit on its trunk. This one breaks the drought rule, but it's too magical to ignore. Jaboticaba grows grapes directly on its trunk, not on branches, on the trunk. The fruit tastes like grape mixed with lychee, sweet and floral. Hardy in zones 10 to 12, it needs moisture and humidity. But once mature, it can fruit 3 to 5 times a year. As you imagine walking up to a tree covered in purple spheres, ask yourself, when was the last time a fruit tree made you feel wonder? If you live in a humid climate and want the most surreal fruit tree on earth, Jaboticaba is the one. Grumichama, the tropical cherry that actually tastes like cherry. Finally, let's talk about the fruit that gives warm climate gardeners hope. Grumichama. If you live in zones 9 to 11 and wish you could grow cherries, this is your solution. The fruit tastes like a rich, dark cherry with hints of plum and grape. The tree is evergreen, ornamental, productive, and surprisingly drought-tolerant once established. And because the fruit bruises easily, you'll never see it in stores, meaning this is a backyard-only treasure. As you imagine popping these dark, glossy fruits straight from the tree, ask yourself, why keep dreaming about cherries when you can grow something even better? If you want real cherry flavor in a warm climate, Grumichama is the tree you've been waiting for. These 8 fruits redefine what's possible in hot, dry climates. 6 of them thrive on neglect. 2 need more water, but deliver experiences you can't buy in stores. And now, I want you to think about your yard, your climate, your struggles, and ask yourself, which one of these fruits belongs in my life first? Stop growing plants that need life support. Start growing food that actually wants to be in your climate. And maybe plant something so strange that when people ask what it is, you get to blow their minds. If you're already growing any of these, especially the rare ones, share your experience. Let's compare notes and learn from each other.